Have you ever felt misunderstood or undervalued by someone you care about a lot? Maybe you've tried to convey your worth through words but failed or were misread. What if there was a way to do that? It's easy for the noise of constant communication to overshadow our actions in the busyness of daily life. But the ancient wisdom of Stoicism tells us that our actions, demeanor, and inner strength speak volumes about our true worth. In this video, we'll look into the principles of Stoicism to find practical ways to show your loved one your worth without saying a word, from the strength of setting boundaries to the strength of walking away. As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you that counts, but how you react to it. Each lesson gives you a different way to live a life that shows what you value. Stay with us as we look at these timeless lessons and push yourself to internalize and use them in your own life. Don't miss a single part of this journey. Each part is meant to give you the tools to improve your relationships and sense of self-worth. Deeply, are you ready to learn the deep wisdom of Stoicism and proudly share your values without having to speak up? If so, please leave a comment and get ready to begin your journey. The first part is about knowing your true worth. In the world of Stoicism, knowing your true worth is very important. This old school of thought teaches us that our worth comes from within, from our character and virtues, not from outside approval. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you that counts, but how you react to it. From this point of view, what matters is not what other people think or what we accomplish, but our own moral compass and how we deal with life's obstacles. Imagine that someone consistently gets praise at work for their efforts. While this can be satisfying, it can also become a dependency. If this person bases their sense of self-worth on praise alone, they may have trouble figuring out who they are when the praise stops. On the other hand, if they know that their true worth lies in their hard work, honesty, and dedication, they will stay confident and motivated no matter what other people say. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, is a great example of this. Even though he was very powerful and had a lot of status, he always thought about his deeds through the lens of Stoic virtues. His worth wasn't based on his title, but on how well he could rule with knowledge, justice, and humility. This way of thinking about himself helped him stay grounded and true to his values, no matter what was going on around him. When you think about your own life, have you ever felt like you needed other people's approval to feel good about yourself? If so, how did this happen? Dependence on outside approval changes how you see yourself and what you do. These questions can help you figure out where you might be relying too much on outside approval. They can also help you get a better sense of your own worth. This journey of self-discovery and inner growth is very important. It involves focusing on your virtues and how you deal with life's challenges. You can show how valuable you are without saying a word. Your loved ones will know that your value is deep and stable if you have this quiet confidence in yourself. For example, someone who consistently helps others in need without expecting praise shows Stoic virtues by showing their worth through actions instead of empty promises. Remember that the things that really matter about you are not what other people think of you, but how honest and wise you are in what you do. If you follow this theory, you'll show the people you love how much you value them without even having to say a word. The deepest way to show your loved ones how much you're worth is to be strong in silence, like a Stoic. Page number 2. Putting down limits. A core idea in Stoic thought is that setting limits in a quiet way is a powerful way to show self-worth. Stoics believe that staying honest and having self-respect come from knowing and respecting your own limits. Most of the time, this can be done with quiet, consistent deeds instead of harsh words. Seneca wisely said, "Associate with people who are likely to make you better." This shows how important it is to be around people who accept your boundaries and values. Imagine that a friend constantly asks for your time, making you feel overwhelmed. Instead of confronting them directly, you manage your time better, clearly setting priorities for your personal commitments over time. Your actions show them your limits without having to say them out loud. If someone at work constantly asks for your help outside of work hours, making sure you stick to your plan and politely declining extra tasks outside of work hours shows them what your limits are. This not only protects your well-being and teach others in a subtle way how to respect your time. Epicus said, "Know yourself first, and then adorn yourself accordingly." This saying emphasizes how important it is to know your own values and limits when setting boundaries. For example, if you value your weekends for personal growth and relaxation, politely decline work-related requests during these times. This silent but effective boundary setting shows others that you value your own time and prioritize self-care. Thinking about times when you thought someone crossed your boundaries and how you reacted can help you spot patterns and set stronger limits in the future. Using silent boundary setting creates a respectful and balanced environment. It teaches others to value your time and presence without having to argue. By keeping your boundaries, you can avoid arguments. In the end, you show inner strength and self-respect, which are Stoic values. Setting boundaries without speaking is a sign of self-respect and worth. It takes practice and awareness to live by this Stoic principle, which means you communicate your value without speaking. This leads to healthier relationships and a more fulfilling life. How often do we rely on words to show our value when our actions and presence can speak even louder? This question makes us think of a strong part of Stoic thought that lets us show how valuable we are without saying a word. The third chapter, How to Communicate Without Words, Marcus Aurelius, a wise man, said, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be." This quote shows how deeds are more important than words. Nonverbal signs like body language, facial expressions, and even silence can show respect, trust, and confidence. Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa and a global symbol of peace and justice, used his body language to communicate a lot while he was in jail. Mandela's calm demeanor, steady gaze, and poised stance showed his fellow prisoners and his captors that he was strong and resilient. His body language sent a message of inner strength and self-worth that inspired millions of people without the need for words. Music. Thoughts on your own life. Have you ever noticed how just being in a room with someone can change it? How can you show your worth through body language in the people you meet every day? These questions help us understand how much our deeds that we don't say have an effect. Epicurus taught that you should first tell yourself what you want to be, and then do what you need to do. It's important to make sure that our nonverbal behavior matches our inner values. For example, making eye contact during a talk shows that you are paying attention and respecting the other person, and in a professional setting, a firm handshake can show that you are confident and honest. It's important to communicate without words. A leader who listens carefully nods to show that they understand and keeps their body language open. These small acts of kindness often help build trust and respect among team members. To improve your nonverbal communication skills, you should do more than just use words to build trust and loyalty. Mindfulness and self-awareness. Pay attention to how your body language, facial reactions, and even your silence can show what you believe and how you feel. Are you showing yourself in a way that is true to who you are? Learning how to communicate without words is a powerful way to show your worth and values without having to speak up. The Stoic approach stresses actions over words, which leads to deeper connections and mutual respect. As you follow these principles, you will naturally show your value to your loved ones. Do you agree with us that learning how to communicate without words is a powerful way to show your worth and values without having to speak up? Please leave a comment with your thoughts on how we show our values. Fourth chapter. Being sure to say no. Socrates says, really value yourself. But what does that mean? Being able to say no with confidence shows a lot of self-respect and inner strength. This simple action can say a lot about your worth without having to be explained. Seneca's wise words, "It's not that we don't have much time to live, but that we waste a lot of it," stress how important it is to set priorities in our lives. By firmly refusing to do something, you take charge of your life and choices and show others that you respect yourself and your commitments. If you don't think saying no can make a difference, look at the life and work of wealthy Warren Buffett, is one of the best managers in the world. Many times, Buffett says that his ability to say no was the key to his success. By turning down many chances that didn't fit with his goals, he focused on what really mattered, showing that he was clear and confident in his own self-worth. His confident answer showed that he knew what was most important to him. Now think about your own life. How often do you agree to do things or do favors that are too much for you? How does this affect your work? Health and happiness. Thinking about these things helps us understand how important it is to set limits and stick to them. Epictetus said, "Not first tell me who you are, and then this way of thinking tells us to know our ideals and act in a way that is in line with them." Being able to say no with confidence means being aware of your priorities and turning down requests that would put them at risk. For example, if you want to improve yourself, you might turn down social invitations that would get in the way of your study or exercise routine at work. Being able to say no with confidence can change your life. Imagine that someone asks you to do extra work that will make it harder for you to finish important projects. You would politely refuse, but firmly. Explaining your current goals keeps you productive and shows that you are dedicated to excellence. To develop this habit, start by knowing what you stand for and what you can't do. Think about the promises you make that are most important to you and be ready to stand by them. Are you willing to protect your time and energy to stay true to yourself? Confidently saying no is a strong way to show how much you value yourself without having to say a word. It shows that you know what's important to you and are dedicated to your health. By firmly declining an offer, you make room for what really matters, showing how strong and clear your character is. Adopt this Stoic principle and let your deeds show how much you value yourself and how committed you are to living a meaningful life. Chapter 5. Never chase value. Music. Having trouble holding on to things? The Stoic principle of never pursue, always value tells us that if we focus on valuing ourselves and our principles, we will naturally show our worth without needing constant verbal affirmation. Never pursue, always value means to put self-worth and internal values ahead of external validation and recognition. Instead of chasing approval or success, we focus on what really matters, our character virtues and inner peace. This approach not only builds self-respect, but it also brings genuine respect from others. To better understand this Stoic philosophy, look at Oprah Winfrey's life and work, even though she had to deal with a lot of problems. Oprah didn't want fame for its own sake. Instead, she focused on what was important to her. Being honest, caring, and giving people power, by sticking to these values, she built an empire and earned the respect and admiration of millions. Oprah's story shows how important it is to value yourself over seeking benefits from other people. Think about what you've been through. Have you ever felt empty after trying to get someone's praise or attention? How did that make you feel about your own self-worth? There is a proverb that says, Emperor Marcus Aurelius left behind a sentence that shows how important it is to value our beliefs over the temporary approval of others. The happiness in your life rests on the thoughts you have. These words emphasize how important it is to, when we value our thoughts and principles, our actions are in line with who we really are. For example, in relationships, instead of chasing someone who doesn't value you, work on building your own values and self-respect. To use this principle in your own life, start by figuring out and honoring your core values. Are you making these values a priority in your daily actions? If so, you'll show your self-worth without needing constant verbal affirmation. In conclusion, the Stoic principle of never pursue, always value gives us the power to show our worth through our actions and values. By living by this wisdom, we can cultivate a life of peace, happiness, and success. As Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Accept this truth and let your beliefs tell the world how much you're worth. Page number 6. How strong it is to walk away from many situations. People often feel stuck in unhealthy situations, whether at work or in relationships. It can be hard to leave because we are afraid of the unknown and like the comfort of the familiar. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that leaving is a deep act of self-respect and inner strength. It's important to leave situations that don't match your values. Doing so shows that you put your health and values above everything else. This quiet statement of self-worth can be stronger than any words. Malala Yousafzai is a famous advocate for girls' education. When the Taliban threatened her, she could have kept quiet out of fear, but she chose to walk away from their oppressive expectations and continue her work with even more determination. Her courage and refusal to stay in a toxic environment showed how strong and self-respectful she was. Epictetus gave us good advice. Don't just talk about your theory, live it. This means that actions like leaving an abusive situation talk louder than words. In personal relationships, this means getting out of toxic situations. Dynamics tells others that you care about yourself and want them to do the same for you to follow this rule. Find places in your life where you feel disrespectful or worn out. For example, are you in a job that makes you feel less valuable or a relationship that makes you feel less important? Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It's a statement of self-respect and strength. Walking away quietly shows others how strong you are and how much you value yourself. Stoic advice says to live a life of peace and honesty by letting your actions mirror your values. Epictetus says to live by your philosophy and let your actions show your strength and values. People often say, actions speak louder than words, but what does that really mean in the framework of Stoic philosophy? Stoics thought that our actions, not our words, showed what kind of person we were and how valuable we were. In Stoicism, it's not enough to just talk about your values. You have to live them. Epictetus said something smart. Don't just talk about your theory, live it. And this means showing your loved ones what you're really worth through your deeds instead of saying a single word. Instead of just talking about peace and pacifism, think about Mahatma Gandhi's life. Gandhi's actions, like his peaceful protests and refusal to use violence, said a lot about how committed he was to his beliefs and how strong he was. His actions inspired millions of people, showing that actions do indeed speak louder than words. Think about your own life. Do your actions match the values you say you believe in? How can you better show your worth through what you do instead of what you say? Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher, said, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be one." This quote tells us to stop talking about our ideals and start living them. By consistently acting in line with our values, we show our worth and earn respect naturally. In essence, living by your principles and letting your actions speak for you is the truest way to express your self-worth. Let your actions reflect your values and inspire those around you. By consistently acting in line with your values, you silently but powerfully communicate your worth. Number 8 of the chapter, bringing up healthy skeptics. Have you ever thought that questioning the world around you might make your interactions better in Stoicism? Having healthy skepticism doesn't mean you're negative. It means you're looking for the truth and knowing that this way of thinking can show your loved ones how valuable you are by showing you can be wise and careful. A good amount of skepticism means looking at things and information carefully before accepting them. Focusing on truth and clarity are important to Stoics. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone can show me that what I think or do is wrong, I will gladly change it, for I seek the truth, which never hurt anyone." Being willing to learn and grow shows that you have intellectual integrity and respect for truth. For example, Carl Schwann was a famous astronomer and science communicator. He was dedicated to scientific inquiry and able to question accepted norms without being skeptical, which made him a respected figure. His healthy skepticism helped him understand and respect others better, showing how useful this Stoic principle is in human relationships. This kind of skepticism means not assuming things about other people or jumping to conclusions. It means paying close attention, asking good questions, and being open to new ideas. Are there places in your life where you could use more critical thinking? Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak by being skeptical." How might this change the way you connect with others and how they see you? By asking thoughtful questions and looking for clarity, you show that you value wisdom and understanding over rashness and prejudice. In essence, developing healthy skepticism shows your dedication to truth and intellectual integrity. How can you use this principle in your daily life to improve your relationships and personal growth? The 9th, self-care and growing as a person. Stoic self-care means keeping your body and mind healthy, since these are the building blocks of a good life. To make this point clear, Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over outside events." Realize this, and you will find power. When you take care of your physical and mental health, you show that you are strong and disciplined, which makes people naturally respect you. Eleanor Roosevelt's life, even though she had a lot of problems, is a great example of this concept at work. Roosevelt put her own health and well-being first. Getting known as a recognized leader who fights for human rights, her story shows how working on self-improvement can send a quiet message of worth and inspire others in real life. Ms. Self-care means making time for things that make you feel good, like reading, working out, or relaxing. It also means working on your personal growth by learning new things and setting new goals. If you take time for self-care and personal growth, it could change your life and relationships in ways that are positive. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." By following the Stoic principles of setting boundaries, walking away with honor, and prioritizing self-care and personal growth, you silently communicate your worth and inspire those around you. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who injured you." Live your values and let your actions speak louder than your words to create a life of peace, happiness, and integrity. Accept this journey and give others hope through the silent strength of your character. If you think this chat was useful, please click the like button. Leave a note with your thoughts, and don't forget to share these deep philosophical ideas with everyone you know. If you're new, subscribe to our channel to get more deep lessons on Stoicism that will help you grow. See you in the next lessons.